Okay. Okay. Maybe we just give a few minutes. Some people we need to admit into the room, and then we start. Okay. I guess we can crack on. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar on arrival in the UK. My name is Oluchinwambara, and I'm the Regional Manager for Africa at Middlesex. I'm also joined by Marietta and Victoria, who are current students at Middlesex University. So they will be sharing some of their experiences with you as we proceed. The webinar will last around 60 minutes. We have a quick presentation followed by a question and answer session at the end. So if you would like to ask a question, please type them in the chat box, and which is on the right-hand side of your screen. Please note that this webinar is being recorded, so share the recording and the PowerPoint slides with you in a follow-up email the next day or two. So let's get started. Okay. So first thing to note before you arrive in the UK, we would advise that you take out insurance, content insurance before you arrive. This is important in case you lose any of your items, so you could get your insurance to cover for those. Now, when we talk about healthcare options, so we have the NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK. So you can use the NHS or you can take out a private medical insurance, okay? Now, if you're from Europe, you will be able to access free healthcare from the NHS, and international students can also access treatment from NHS because you would already have been required to pay the international health surcharge, and this covers for any medical treatment within the UK. So, of course, if your program is less than 6 months, you would not have paid the IHS, so that means you have to have made other arrangements for your healthcare. But those studying for programs longer than 6 months are covered. So the IHS is paid for during your visa application, so you would get to do that once you start your visa application. Now, what to pack? So students will need clothes and shoes and for all seasons. The UK weather is totally unpredictable, so we encourage you to pack different kinds of clothing. So the weather can vary from 14 to 30 degrees in the summer, and it can also go as low as 1 to 5 degrees in the winter. But from personal experience, I would say London weather is probably the best in the UK, so that's a good thing. When you're traveling, we need to pack, your pots and pans. So you don't need to pack crockery or heavy items. You can always purchase them in the UK. Also, you have to be mindful about packing food. There are some restrictions about importing food from abroad. So it is always important to go over the UK government website to see what you can or cannot bring into the country. I guess the best advice is to just don't come with food. But if you then check that, whatever you're bringing is permitted. I'm sure Marietta and Victoria will share with us some of the things that are okay to bring. Maybe spices in moderation and some other things. So we'll see. Also important to carry some important documents in your hand luggage. So things like your CAS, your confirmation of acceptance for studies, if you have any medical reports that you need to have with you, if you have medication that you need to take on board the flight, those are some of the things you can put in your hand luggage. Now, when you arrive at the airport, excuse me. When you arrive at the airport, the first thing you would notice is that you would need to pass through immigration control. So the UK Border Force has to stamp you in to the country. So if you are eligible to use the e-gates, you should not do this if you are a non-visa national who has applied for, excuse me, who has applied as a short-term student at the border. So this is something that you should take note of. Follow the queue that that is appropriate. You would see everything is clearly labeled at the airport upon arrival. Now, the border force officer will take a look at your passport to see that you have a valid visa, and when you get there, they will ask you certain questions. They are also trying to check that you need the required level of English, as well as your intention for coming into the UK is genuine. So if you need an interpreter, this might be a problem because it is expected that you have met the desired English language requirement before getting your visa. So yes, and your passport will be stamped. And then if you're on a short course, you would get a stamp that says student visitor. That is if you're in a course that is less than 6 months. Those on programs over 6 months will get their passport stamped as with an entry clearance stamp. And you should note that your visa, that is the vignette, the sticker on your passport might be shorter than the duration of your program. This means you will still need to pick up your BRP, your biometric residence permit, upon arrival. So take note that as soon as you arrive, you should make your way to either the post office, or if you have used Middlesex University as the address for collection, you pick up your BRP within 10 days of arrival. So we have mentioned that you should carry some important documents. You might be asked by the border force officer to present this when they are speaking to you. So that's why you should have maybe a copy of your offer letter, your confirmation of acceptance for studies. And sometimes they might ask questions about your finances as well. We have had a few instances where this has happened. So you should be able to explain how you'll be taking care of your maintenance while you're in the UK. So we advise that you carry these documents in paper form. You should not rely completely on your mobile phones or any other electronic tablets you might have. You might run out of, your battery might be low or something, and this might be a problem for you. So think about that. Have a hard copy with you. Let's see. And yes, so when you're done, you can then pick up your baggage. So you have to pass through customs control. You would notice at the airport that the channels you could pass through are kind of in different colors. So you see the green channel, blue and red channel. If you have nothing to declare, take the green channel. If you have arrived from an airport within the EU, where you have already cleared all your baggage through customs, take the blue channel. And if you've got goods to declare, follow the red channel. If you do get interviewed by a customs officer, please be honest. This will work in your favor, to be honest. Sometimes students are worried. They might, even if you have nothing to declare, you might still be stopped by a customs officer, and you might be asked to open your baggage so they could check. And please do that. And if you've got something that you shouldn't have had, but you didn't know, don't lie about it. Tell them that, yes, you've got this. So that way you would have less problems than lying and then they find that you've got something you shouldn't have in your baggage. Now, let's talk about how you get to campus. So we will be arranging an airport meet and greet service. So we will have student ambassadors at the airport who will greet new students and direct you to the various public transports. Usually we would have maybe an airport pickup arranged. Unfortunately, we are unable to provide that service this intake. So we will, but then we will still have student ambassadors give you directions on how to go from the airport to your residence. We will also confirm dates when we will be, arranging this. We will send emails out once we have confirmed the dates for this airport meet and greet. And you can also find directions to the campus by downloading the Transport for London Journey Planner or City Mapper app. You can download this to your mobile phones, your Android, your Apple phones, and other devices. So please be sure to, it's very, very useful. Download City Mapper or TFL, Transport for London app. Very useful. Now, there are other things that you need to consider when you have arrived in the UK. You must register with a doctor. Well, you are advised to register with a doctor. So register with a doctor or a GP. It's very important. You don't need to wait until you're ill before you do that. Like I said earlier, your IHS surcharge means you can get free medical treatment at the NHS hospitals. If you need to register with the police, please do so. So you are, if you are required to do this, it will be stated clearly on your visa. So if it says register with the police, please make sure you do that once you have entered the UK. So the fee is about £34 to register, and then you can go to the address on the screen, 323 Borough High Street, London. The postcode is SE1IJL, and the telephone number is 020-7230-1286. So you use that to get in touch if you need further information. Another important thing to consider, you need to open a bank account. So students need to, first of all, have a visa that is still valid for at least 3 months for you to be able to open a bank account. So of course, if you are trying to do this upon arrival, that means you have enough time to open an account. But then if you did not open your account immediately, you need to know that your visa must have at least 3 months validity before you can set up a UK bank account. You need to complete a bank application form, which the bank, of course, will provide. And you need a student status letter, which can be obtained from my UniHub. You can contact UniHelp to prepare this letter for you, and it will be ready within a few, maybe 3 working days, thereabouts. And so we talked about collecting your biometric residence permits for students with a visa. You need to collect this within 10 days of arrival to the UK. So some would have used Middlesex University as their pickup address, which is at UniHelp Shepherd Library. And then some would have opted for a post office that is probably closer to their place of residence. So you go to the post office and pick it up within 10 days of arrival. So when you go to collect your BRP, you have to take your passport along with you, your travel documents, which contains the, I think these days it's 90 days, not 30 days. So you would usually have 90 days visa on your passport, and you should bring this along with you so you can collect your BRP. And you will also find out more about where to go and what to bring in your CAS letter. It's usually stated. Middlesex University is very supportive. That is something that we pride ourselves in. So we've got a lot of support for you as international students. You can get help from the UniHub support team. You can also ask our international student advice team, especially if you've got questions around your visas. Maybe later in the year, you might want to extend, maybe you want to extend your visa for some reason, or you want to switch visas. You can get advice from the international student advice team at Middlesex. So book an appointment with them. You can have a one-to-one. You can also send an email, and someone will be happy to address any concerns you've got. The university has also got a Chinese student liaison officer who specifically supports students of the university's Chinese community. So there is a lot of support going on at MDX. Now on to the International Orientation Program. We've got lots of fun activities lined up for you. So there's the icebreaker activities, we have coffee mornings, we have the London Tea Party, as we call it. We've got game nights. There will also be question and answer sessions with current students. There'll be London walking tour. There'll be top tip videos about from home or accessing resources, because especially when COVID happened, there was a lot of studying from home going on. So we have lots of resources, that will help students navigate such a scenario. If there are times when you need to take any modules from home, or in situations where you just need to practice how to self-study, those videos will be very, very helpful, very, very helpful. You will also receive emails from the student engagement team with more information on how to join these events in the coming weeks, days. So I'm going to pass on to Marietta and Victoria. They will explain to you in detail some of the things you need to know as an international student who has just arrived or who is just about to arrive. Over to you, Marietta.
Thank you very much for your help and all the information you have provided us with. I'm sure it will be very helpful for everyone. Hello, guys. My name is Marietta, as you can see. I am an international student ambassador and at the same time a student at Middlesex University. I have recently finished my foundation year in fashion design and will be proceeding to my first year this September into fashion design. So if we move on, I'm going to share with you a few things I like about Middlesex. Lucy, can you help me with the?
Okay, I can.
Yeah, you have
to. Want to share your screen, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Just have to move to the next slide for me if you can.
Oh, sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what I love about Middlesex is how diverse and friendly the environment is here. We have lots of international students from many backgrounds, and it's a good opportunity for me and for everyone that studies at Middlesex to meet with each other, gain new experiences, and have a lovely time. Also, one good thing about Middlesex, and that helped me to realize while I was doing my practical sessions as a fashion design student, is the combination of contemporary and traditional teaching. They are using lots of up-to-date equipment, new technologies, but at the same time, old-fashioned techniques. That kind of helps us have a balance between our education. Our teachers have a way to provide us all the necessary things we need to know, all the knowledge we have to gain through a way of contemporary and traditional teaching, which is kind of stops it from being either boring or too old-fashioned or too modern. So there is a balance, and that's something quite unique for a university. And thank God Middlesex is providing it to us. And that leads, of course, to the highest possible quality of education we can get. I don't think anyone at Middlesex as a student will be feeling, oh, there's something I haven't been taught from my teacher, or there's something missing, I wish I could have learned more things. They do provide lots of information specifically about your course, your module. Everything you're going to be taught is going to cover what you need to know so that you can support your career in the future. That, of course, leads us to having full support throughout our studies and, of course, afterwards. And as I mentioned, we have the latest technology, so you won't feel like, oh, I don't have the necessary means to use for my studies. So a few things you need to know before you arrive in the UK, a few things I had to find out myself as well. And I kind of struggled, and I hope that you won't, because it doesn't feel nice. I would suggest for you to download the Citymapper app. You can easily find it on your App Store or Play Store. The app is designed to help us find specific routes. Let's say, for example, you arrive at Heathrow or any airport in the UK and you're looking to find either a bus or normally the tube to come to Middlesex or wherever else you want to go. Citymapper is the app that's going to help you find out how much it's going to cost you, which number of bus you need to take, or tube, which line, because as you may all know, as you can see from that tiny image, it's quite confusing, the map for the trains and everything. So you're going to get lost, because I did get lost quite a few times and it didn't feel safe. So make sure you use the app. You can use the app anytime you want. So it can take you wherever you want. It's going to tell you the amount, the time as well. You can choose the time you want to leave. So it's going to tell you exactly. So it's relatively precise. So keep an eye on that. First and foremost, of course, before you download the app, please organize your luggage, including clothes for all seasons. As my colleague mentioned before, London is a quite tricky weather. So make sure you have winter, summer clothes for spring also as well. Make sure, because I've already caught a cold twice this month, so you don't want to have that while you're studying a lot, at least, because it just keeps you one step behind. Make sure you have enough pocket money in case of an emergency. Nowadays, we all tend to use cards and everything, but having some cash on the side, because you never know, you might not have good signal, maybe you haven't transferred enough money on your current account. So just make sure you have that pocket money. It doesn't need to be like £100. It could be like 10 or 20 in case of any emergency, like food or anything you might need. Also, please check that you have all the necessary medication, painkillers, plasters, that's for everyone, of course, in case we have any last minute accident. But for any of you who's taking any specific medication, make sure you have all the necessary quantity as well, and that you can access it as well from the UK, and you don't have it to be sent to you from abroad. It could be easier, especially if you need it last minute. Don't forget your trainers, because there's going to be plenty of walking. I mean, our transportation is really good, but at the same time, you're going to have to walk to go to the station. You're going to have to walk to go to the bus stop. And every stops, they're not going to take you right outside to where you want to go. You're going to have to walk. So just make sure you have good trainers with you all the time. And last but not least, please check the NHS website. It's going to give you all necessary information, like my colleague mentioned, to register with GPs once you arrive. Of course, you need to have a valid address and everything, but the website is going to guide you further, and it's something really important because our health shouldn't be left to the very last minute. We move on. So now, once you reach the airport in the UK, you need to have your passport, and it should be not expired, or at least for 3 months it should be valid. Also, if you're coming from a non-EU country, most probably you're going to need a visa, especially after Brexit. Things have gotten more difficult for everyone. So please make sure you have a visa, which of course you're going to have to apply before you come to the UK, and you need to have the offer with you as well. Usually they're going to send it via an email. The Home Office is going to say, oh, you have been provided with a visa, student visa, or you're going to have to go to your embassy and have your passport stamped. So it depends the country you're coming from, your status and everything. But it's all going to fall into place, of course, if you go to the right place and have the right people. Always have your acceptance letter from Middlesex. I had it with me just in case, because I had someone ask me, how come you go? They were a bit curious, because obviously there are more restrictions nowadays. So I had all the necessary documents with me saying, I've got an offer, I have my visa, this is what Middlesex is saying, I am a valid new student, so please let me in. And thank God they did. Also have proof of your English. Sometimes it can be a bit funny the border. So just have a proof if you either did GCSEs or IELTS or any other kind of English qualification you may have had from your country. If we move to the last one, thank you very much. Now, settling in the UK, you're going to realize that at the beginning it's going to be a bit challenging. You're going to feel a bit lost like everyone else, and that's normal, but please don't freak out, don't get scared. So what you can do, like I said before, have a good research on the NHS website and then try to register with a GP, and that's going to be according to your address. You're not going to be, let's say you're not going to live in Barnet or near Middlesex, but it's slightly not, it's not in central London, but of course it's not going to tell you find a doctor in central London, because obviously you need someone nearby in case of an emergency. But please double check that actually your GP is nearby, is not that far away, for your own health and the safety. Now, in terms of opening a bank account, there are lots of solutions, thank God. When I came, I had no idea. And for a couple of months, I didn't know how to manage my income because I was still using my Greek account. And I was spending, they were charging me extra fees. So please don't postpone it for a long time, because you're getting charged extra money for no reason at all. So we have HSBC, they are providing international student accounts, relatively easy to open. As my colleague mentioned, you're gonna need your acceptance letter, your status letter, and your passport as well. And they're gonna be able to open the account soon enough for you. Also, we have Revolut, which you can open all by yourself from the comfort of your zone, or Monzo. They provide good accounts, even savings as well. You can get a physical card as well if you order it. So it's relatively easy, cheap, and quick. Now, in terms of transportation, I would recommend in ordering a student Oyster card. It's relatively useful for you. You are not getting as charged as a normal Oyster or as using just your bank card. So make sure you read the instructions so that you can have an Oyster card, because you do get lots of benefits. Now, once all of this has been completed, and also your accommodation and stuff, please make sure you can have a nice campus tour made from us, provided from us, international student ambassadors. We can give you a nice tour around the campus, explain to you all the buildings, all necessary information you need to know. So when you come in your first day of your studies, you won't be lost. You feel like confident. Oh, I know where to go. I know where the ladies' room is, the men's room is, or where the cafeteria is, or the library, and how to use my student ID and everything. So please make sure you have a campus tour beforehand, so you are all well prepared. Also, please explore your neighborhood and local stores. If you live nearby Middlesex, that's going to be easier to explore the area. If you live a bit further away, make sure you know a few local stores like supermarkets. If you have an Aldi, if you have a Lidl, which I'm going to mention, that they are relatively cheap supermarkets, and you can actually buy affordable grocery from them, and it can last for at least, you can spend like £10 and it can last for like a week and a half if you manage your shopping. And of course you're going to be eating and stuff. Please don't feel stressed that you need to eat and you need to be healthy and everything, but I'm sure all of us, we can't just sort of manage that in a small budget. Once you come the first day of your studies, please collect your student ID, as it's important, and you can also use it for student discounts when you're shopping either online or in store. We have lots of shops around London where you can't just provide your student ID, you can get up to 15, 20 or even 30% student discount, which is relatively good. And last but not least, don't forget to explore London. You're going to be here not only to study, of course it will be your priority, but please just explore London. It's just a lovely experience as a student to have a look around and just have fun, meet new people and enjoy your time, because it is truly a unique experience. So I think that's all for me. I'm going to pass it on to my good friend and colleague, Victoria, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mariela. So hi, my name is Victoria, as you can see. I'm a international student ambassador at Middlesex University. I come from France, from Bordeaux, more precisely. So you have nice pictures of my city here. And I'm studying law at Middlesex, but I'm doing a dual bachelor program in French and English law, which means that I will have 2 degrees at the end of 4 years. by doing 2 years in France and 2 years in Middlesex. That's something I had only with Middlesex University because of the partnership between the two universities. So Middlesex really offers lots of opportunities. So Olushi, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Oh, we can't see what was written on the slide.
Can you see it now?
No, I can't.
Yeah, I think there were some more things written down, but do you remember a few things you can share with us right now, Victoria?
I can just
because I
go-
can see what stressed me the most.
Lots of things, or lots of things that we're stressed about. So.
Yeah, but I had other things written on it, but it's okay. I can find them. So what stressed me the most when I first came to London was at first getting my visa, because at the moment I didn't know that as an EU citizen, I didn't have a material visa. I thought I will have like a paper or something on my passport, and I didn't have anything. I was also really surprised by the e-gates at the airport. So just so you know, you won't always have the paper. It depends on where you come from. And if you don't have a physical paper or physical visa, you will have to go through the e-gates at the airport, which it doesn't always work, but it saves you sometimes anyway. I was also stressed about finding an accommodation. So I spent some time on apps and with agencies trying to find an accommodation, but I found out that the easiest way was to stay in halls, student halls of residence. The university has 4 or 5, I never know how much, and like it really was the best thing I chose for this year, because I arrived 2 weeks before the beginning of my course, and I made all my friends there, and it was really amazing. I met people. It's so easy to meet people in halls of residence. I met people from all around the world with whole different backgrounds and cultures. It was really, really interesting. And the halls have many opportunities too and activities. So we had an end of the year party. We had a beginning of the year party. So it was a whole day with the food trucks and games and stuff. We also have game nights. One day we had a do-it-yourself pizza night. So they bought everything and we just had to choose the ingredients to put on our pizza. So it was really amazing. And also, if you're staying more than a year and you choose to go in a hall of residence, you can try and apply to work in the hall of residence as a resident assistant for the year after. So that's what I'm gonna do for next year. I'm gonna be a resident assistant in my hall of residence. And in that way, I am sure to have a room in that residence. So yeah, I was also afraid of meeting new people and finding my way in this big city. But as London is such an international city, and especially Middlesex University is such an international university, I was surrounded by people in my situation, like lots of people arriving for the first time in the UK and not knowing anybody. Also, as international students, we had lots of activities planned for us. We had an Oxford trip, we had a fish and chip afternoon, we had lots of things. So I got to meet a lot of people at those events too, and we still hang out together, and we are gonna meet again next year. So don't be afraid, you're gonna meet lots of people. It's gonna be okay, but like way more than okay. I was also afraid of studying in another language and another educational system. So for the language, it wasn't that hard. It just obviously takes some time to get used to another language, but it's really not that hard once you're into it. Like everything is in English, your social relations, when you go to the restaurant, when you go do your laundry and everything is in English. So you have to just get along with it. And it wasn't hard either to get used to the educational system. It like it took me some time to understand some things, as the French system is really different from the English system, but everybody, like, you will always have the support you need. Teachers will always be here to help. We also have student learning assistants, which are current students who excelled in a module and are there to help other students in the same module. So you can always go and ask them questions. That's what I did to understand the grading system in Middlesex University. I was also stressed about the budget, about affording living in London, because I know how hard, like how expensive it can be. And also, especially with Brexit now, when it comes to the visa. But that's a good point that we have in Middlesex University. It's MDX Works. So that's an office within the university where they help students writing cover letters, writing CVs, finding jobs outside, but also within the university. So that's how Marietta and now got this job as international student ambassadors. But I am also a student ambassador, so which is kind of the same thing, but we don't do the same activities. So, and it's good money. It's a really good vibe. Like, everybody is so kind, and we sometimes hang out together. And all, like, you get to do lots of different things. So now we're doing the webinar, but we also did videos for the website. We did very various things. So yeah, you get to touch upon lots of things. Also the weather. I was really stressed about the weather. London is not how we say, like, it's not raining all the time. It's really not that rainy, but it's really cold. Like in the winter, it really gets cold. But it can be fun too, because I remember in my hall of residence this year, it snowed one night, and every resident just went outside and we started doing a huge snowball fight, and the snow stood for like a week. So we had like snowmen all over the gardens and everything. So it was really, really fun. Thank you. So don't panic, you will be just fine. Everything will be all right. You are not alone. We have lots of mental health support in the university. It goes from teachers and students to also professionals. Also, we have puppies at the university that can come on campus. It's usually around exam time, but yeah, they can come and you can pet them and cuddle them and you'll feel better. Also, we will be glad to use our experience to help you, because we know how stressful it can be and we've been through what you're gonna go through. So we'll be more than glad to help you. And as student ambassador, you can always come and fetch us and ask for help. And also, yeah, don't forget that the majority of students you will meet are in the same situation as you are in. So yeah, don't panic. Everybody will understand, nobody will judge, and there are no silly questions either. So yeah, my advices will be to not stay isolated, never, because this won't help. Take every opportunity to meet people. Everything you can do, every activity that's offered to you, do it, because you're gonna meet so many people from that event. Don't be afraid of asking for help. So as I said, there are no silly questions, and we can understand how stressful it is. So always come either to us if we're on campus, or if you have a way to get through us, or also there is the reception desk, or you have emails address that you can send emails to. Never hesitate to ask help. Be aware that as an international student, there will be moments where you will feel lonely, and that is totally okay. That's something I found out this year, because everybody was saying, yeah, you're gonna go abroad, it's gonna be the best year of your life. And it was really, it still is the best experience. But I think nobody tells us enough that sometimes you feel lonely because you're far from your home, you're far from your family, your culture, your friends, but it's just gonna be fine. gonna be really, really okay, and you're still gonna have the best time. So no pressure with that. And yeah, enjoy yourself. You are in London. So as we say in England, the word is your oyster. So everything will be really, really smooth. And in London, you have so many things to do, so many things to visit. So don't worry.
Thank you so much, Marita and Victoria. That was
Thank
really
you.
nice.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Yes. So we would move on to the question and answer.
I believe we have a few.
Yes.
I was about to type a few as well in the chat box, but I think it's better just to say them now so that everyone can hear. There's just one. Yeah, just to clarify, because there were some people wondering whether they're going to get the presentation just presented. Of course, you're going to receive an email, everyone, with all the necessary information, as well with the presentation we just provided to you. So not to worry about it. We're going to keep you up to date. And if you have any further questions at a later point, please feel free. We have a Facebook page. And if you get an offer from Middlesex, you can easily just give us your details and we can help you further, of course. And in terms of food, I think Victoria is going to help me as well. At Middlesex and around London. Now, I am sure we have lots of food, lots of restaurants at Middlesex, and we have a place that's called the MDX House. So what you do there, you have a few restaurants and you have a few games as well, like you can sit and play with your friends. We have Craig's, if you know it, it's relatively well known brand. We have Subway. We have burritos, some kind of tortilla brand that they make there. It's fresh and warm food for years, so it's not something that's been preserved for a long time. It's fresh and healthy. In our main building as well, we have a few days a week. I do believe they change every academic year, but you have 2 days during the week where you get free porridge from 9 till 10, if I'm not mistaken. And then there are other 2 days you get a different kind of meal for lunch. So it could be anything. It depends from the people who will be cooking there. And you can easily just go there and try out. It's like a buffet, basically, and you can just pick what you want. So in terms of outside the campus in London, there is a shop. If anyone likes Indian, I would recommend Dishum. It's a very well-known brand. It's a chain actually in London, and it's Indian food. It's not spicy. It's not that spicy, and it's full of flavors and stuff, and it's packed all the time. So if you want just a different experience, you could just go there. It's very nice. And we have a few more questions. When is the ideal time to arrive in London? A few days before the course begin. Yeah, I don't know about Victoria. I don't know what you did before you arrived. I don't know how long before your studies began.
I arrived 2 weeks before the beginning of my course, and I thought that was really good because then I got to visit lots of parts of London, but also lots of activities for international students began 2 weeks before the beginning of the academic year.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good thing to get to know people. Yeah. So I wanted to arrive. I arrived the day before tea party, where I met lots of people too. So yes, that's why I did that. And also it's really good to arrive before, because then you get to settle in. You get to, like, being used to your room, wherever you're gonna live, and also to go and visit the university. I went to visit the university to not be completely lost when I arrived, because the university is big. It's in one place, but it's really big. And so yeah.
And so, I just wanted to add, but it's also important for international students to look at the visa valid date on their passports, because some of you would have applied early for your visa, but the date that it becomes valid might be sometime in the future. So the day you picked up your passport doesn't mean you can travel that same day. You need to check the valid date when it actually can be activated, so that you don't get turned back at the airport. So that's something. So we want you to arrive early, but you also need to check the visa, the validity of your visa. When does it become active, so that you don't have problems
Yeah,
at
of
the
course.
airport. Very important.
It's relatively tricky and you don't want to risk that, because then they might just
Exactly.
say it's difficult, because the Home Office might just say to you, you can't ever come back. So you just need to take your visa status and everything that's related to working full-time and part-time very seriously, because
Yes.
unfortunately things change, and immigration and everything is just very difficult and challenging for everyone, and it does put a lot of stress. So just try to keep up to date with things, so that one aspect is just on the side and make sure everything is okay. Thank you very much
Yes.
for clarifying that.
Yeah.
There
We
is
have
a
some
question about the how much we pay for a meal. So within the university, as Marietta said, we have lots of restaurants. We have the Greg's, Subway, Burrito. We have Costa, Starbucks. So it's not really expensive, but I mean, if you go there every day, obviously it's gonna get expensive. So what I used to do is cook my own meal at home and then bring it to the university. And we have rooms with lots of microwaves, so you can still eat your food heated. And yeah, but I think it's better to cook your own meal and just eat at the university sometimes, because then it's just too much. And also you have just around the university, outside of it, you have also some restaurants that are really good, but it's the same thing, it's still eating outside. So be careful with that.
Yeah. And there's another question about an offer holder who wanted to know if they could proceed with their payment. Yes, if you read your offer, you would know that the next step, once you've got an unconditional offer, is to accept and then make your deposit. So yes, please proceed with your deposits if your offer is unconditional. That is, I think, FAIC. So I hope that answers it. So there'll be no ambassadors taking me from school.
I believe they are. I think you just have to go to the website and just submit some kind of a request. Of course, I came by myself. I didn't have anyone, I didn't know, unfortunately. But we have ambassadors like us that are going to come and pick you up from Heathrow, and they're going to bring you all the way to Middlesex. But I believe you have to register yourself, because we need to know that your name, we need to know the time of your flight, when you're going to be arriving, and we're going to come and pick you up. I believe we come with buses. I haven't done it before. I don't know, Victoria has.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we do offer that service, but we have just been advised very recently that unfortunately we are unable to offer that this time, where we actually provide the buses. So but we will have ambassadors to help answer questions about how to get from point A to B. So they will welcome the students at the airport, and then provide information about if you're going to go by taxi, Uber, or take the train or the bus, whichever one is preferable to the student at that time, depending on when they arrive, of course. So we hope to resume the airport pickup service maybe next intake, but unfortunately we can't offer that this time.
I see that there are two questions about the hall, so about Ivy Hall and Platt Hall. So Ivy Hall, I've heard, I'm not there, but I've heard that it's a nice one. Just it's a bit far from uni, so you will have to take transports to go there, as I heard. But otherwise, it's good. I think Ivy Hall is the most modern one. I think they did it again recently. I'm not sure, because I'm always confusing between Ivy Hall and the other ones. So
the other ones, okay. So I've been to Ivy Hall, and just like Victoria said, Ivy Hall is pretty nice. Most of the rooms are en suite. So that means you've got your own bathroom and your own toilet. There's shared kitchen facilities amongst few students on each floor. So similar to Platt Hall, really. I think, like she said, the only downside would be if you wanted to be a lot closer to school. Ivy Hall is probably a bus, whereas Platt and Ritto Hall is like 20 minutes walk, or you can still take the bus. is just at Collindale. So it really depends. Then Usher Hall is 3 minutes walk right across the campus.
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
say, because there is the question about Platt Hall. I live at Platt Hall and it's the best one. It's really the best one. I think it's the
I think
only
you're
one.
biased.
Well, just to let everyone know, we have just attached a link where you can just read further information about all
About
accommodations,
accommodation.
because we do have 5.
We've got 5, yeah.
I mean, you have all
They're all
kinds of
fantastic,
options.
really.
Yeah, but
Yes.
Platt Hall is still the best. I've heard that it's the
have the
only
one in
one which
Wembley as
has
well.
a garden. It's the only one with a garden. And so that's why we got to do the end of the year and beginning of the year parties. And it's really nice. So it's only 15-20 minutes walk from uni. And it's just straight away, like it's so easy. And we have the bus just nearby, and we have also convenience stores just around the corner. So it's really, really nice. And so we have Platt Hall, which is like that. And in the middle, we have Retail House. So in Retail House, they do share their bathrooms, but they share them with only 1 or 2 people. So it's not that big a deal. But in Platt Hall, you have your own bedroom, but it's smaller then, because you have your bathroom. You have your own bathroom, sorry. So the bedroom is smaller. But then Usher Hall, it's just right across the street from uni. So it's also a really good point to know about it.
Yeah, Usher Hall is just across, so it's very convenient. I think, so, well, I think everything will depend on preference. And like Marietta said, you check out the options available. I would say visually, the room size is bigger at Ivy Hall, but you still have the same, you still have access to the same thing, the bed, the reading table, the wardrobe, the bathroom and toilet. There are a few standard rooms at Ivy Hall, which means the particular room will be slightly lower than the ensuite option. So just go with what works for you.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think that's a good reason why we have international ambassadors, student ambassadors. They come give you an accommodation tour as well. So you can just have a look around on the outside. You can go at the reception. We can talk a bit about, because each one of us, of course, we've been to different kind of accommodation. We have different 5 halls. We can provide all the necessary information you're looking for. You can see yourself the size. Are you happy with it? Are you not? Maybe the rent, is it too expensive? Maybe you can find an alternative solution like Usher, which is like opposite Middlesex. It's meant to be one of the cheapest solutions for you, nearby as well. You won't even need to use any kind of means of transportation. So just don't forget to come in your pajamas, because many people I've seen were jumping from Usher Hall just coming to Middlesex like in their pajamas. And I do get it, especially when it's really cold and stuff. But it's like, it feels like Middlesex, the uni itself, the whole campus, like your house. So you feel so comfortable. You don't like feel left out or like you're going to be judged by other people. And I think it's a good thing that Middlesex gives you the opportunity. Just don't worry about it. Any information you need, you can find it on the website. Yeah, Victoria.
Also about the accommodations, it's also cheap. Like, it's a cheap option because you pay your rent, but in the rent you have the water bills, the electricity, the Wi-Fi, and also the repairs are free. So if you have a problem in your room, you just go to the office, you declare it, and like in the day or just the next day they'll come, and the repair team is really nice, and they'll come and help you with it. And then you also have the laundry within the hall, so you still have to pay for the laundry, obviously, but it's really cheap. It's really cheap.
Cheaper than going to someone that's outside, because you might just end up spending like 15 pounds.
And it's within your hall, so you don't need to go outside. I usually go in pajamas, do my laundry. I don't even bother putting a jumper.
And it's more safe as well. We have someone saying, oh, maybe just rent a house by myself better than just, well, you do get a first year, 1 year of having accommodation. I think you should just give it a try, just explore, just have a year. And then while you're having that year in one of our halls, you can just have the time to just find the right place for you that's relatively cheap, that feels safe as well, because London is a relatively big city and you need to kind of feel safe where you live in your neighborhood and stuff, and the people around you. So
yeah, and if you choose to go with private accommodation, also take into account exactly what the rent covers. Like Victoria said, when you pay for the halls of residence, it's an all-inclusive bill. But when you rent outside, you might want to check if your bill covers for gas, electricity, water, and other, because you might think, oh, it's so cheap, and then you find out that it's just the rent alone. It doesn't cover, utilities. It doesn't cover for gas. You need to pay separate for that, and that's, increases your bill. And then maybe it's a bit far from school, and so you also have to transport yourself. So put everything into consideration. Someone has asked about finding part-time jobs around campus. Yes, we already covered that. Yes, you can get jobs. You need to register with Unitems.
We have the MDX works as well.
And so the MDX works will advise you on options available. And if you register with Unitems, if there's any vacancy, you will also be advised. So yes, as long as you check what your visa says that you're allowed to work. Mostly students are allowed to work 20 hours per week during term time. And during holidays, you can work full time. So check what's on your visa just so you don't break any immigration laws. Someone else has asked about
something about deposit and stuff. So you pay your deposit already, or you haven't? And I am sure.
No, I think
this student did not pay information, I believe.
Okay, the person said he wanted to ask something more. The deadline to pay deposit was 17th May. That's why I was worried and wanted to confirm. Oh, okay. Well, we can, as long as your offer has not been withdrawn, you can still proceed with that. If your offer is withdrawn, then you won't be able to make deposits. So if your offer is still valid, please proceed.
There is a question about bringing friends sleepover in halls of residence. So when you go to halls of residence, you have a contract that you have to sign, and everything will be written there. It says that you have to declare your friends. You have to go to the office and tell them with some days notice, I think at least 1 day notice, and tell them that you have a friend coming over. And is that okay with them? And I think, I can't remember what's on the contract, literally, but I think they will ask you to bring the friend to the office and see if everything is okay. I think they're gonna ask questions or something like that. I'm not sure, I can't remember, but it's all on your contract, and do read the contract.
We have someone asking about having mouses in RV halls. Mice. Well, I haven't been there. I mean, I don't know. Nature is going to do its thing sometimes. But I think they do maintain very well the halls and everything.
Yes.
But I had a friend who had one in their kitchen, and you just, obviously it depends also on your level of cleanliness. They had, in my friend's flat, they had this problem because one of the roommates was really dirty and didn't wash the dishes. So obviously
you also
that happens.
need to make sure that you maintain all the facilities clean.
Exactly.
That's
but then they just went and declared it at the office, and the same day everything was okay.
They're
and everything was clean. They took care of it. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, definitely. We have someone asking about football stadiums so we do have Wembley. You should be aware of that. It's probably one of the most well-known ones, and we do have we do have halls there as well.
Unite.
Wembley. So it's relatively like 40 to 45 minute not drive, but if you take the bus. So and it's relatively well known, and lots of things are happening there. So feel free to have a look online as well to check. I have got offer from Ivy Hall, so I am a little bit worried because it's the only halls that's in my budget.
Ivy Hall is great. Don't be worried, really.
Don't be worried. It's a really good.
The hall, you will love it. You will love it there.
I know it's hard. Everyone is stressed, but I mean, Middlesex does give you the chance, to get used to things. Any support you need, they are there to help you. So don't know what fake. I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it. I think someone asked about how to apply extracurricular activities.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's a good question. So I think you need to find a balance. It's important to make sure that you remember you're there to study, but it's also very much okay to include some extracurricular activities. You have to work with, there are timetables, so your lectures don't just come up randomly. You've got a timetable, so you walk around your timetable, and remember to, of course, keep to deadlines for courseworks and any assignments, group assignments. Be very active, attend classes.
Yeah.
But then when you check what your timetable has for you, you can decide what space you've got for extracurricular activities. But yes, there's a whole lot of interesting things to do on campus, like our student ambassadors have told us.
Yeah.
You just need to make sure that you don't ignore your studies. Attendance is important, and participation in classes, and turning your assignments on time. Don't miss your exams. Very important. Of course, if you've got any challenge, health or anything that prevents you from doing that on time, there are ways to go around it. So you can fill an extenuating circumstances form, and it will be approved, and you can defer an assessment if you get the approval, but you will have to back it up, of course, with supporting documents or evidence that might be required. So if it's a health challenge, you might need doctor's reports and all of that. But yes, definitely have fun in between.
Oh yeah, of course. Keep an eye on our website, our Instagram profile, our Facebook page. Keep sending questions. We have ambassadors helping you all the time. And yeah, you can just find out whatever you need through the website about your course, about any extra activities you're looking for, about joining societies, because we've got loads as well. So just don't worry. I know you're filled with questions right now, and we are more than happy to help you. But at the same time, more questions are going to come closer to the time. So we have other sources that you can just access, so that you can just ask any questions you have and just get your answer, and just get everything sorted out, and just come to London and enjoy your life as a student.
Yes. So I think we would have to stop here. Yeah, our time is up. So thank you so much for joining us today and for all your questions. If we missed anything, please do contact us through our Facebook group for offer holders. The link has just been added to the chat. We hope to welcome you to Middlesex very soon, and also contact your regional offices for further support with regards to visas. I think it's the best way to go. Don't try to do it all by yourself when you've got support. Middlesex has got regional offices across the globe. So visit our website to check which of the offices is closest to you, or you can call or send them an email. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Victoria, Lucy. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you so much.